Hello, my name's Ben Wells, and I play the part of Flesh Creep.
So, Flesh Creep, the evil one.
Yeah. Yes, that's it. Yes, indeed.
And so, Brian Blessed, how's he like to work with?
Brian Blessed, wow, where do I start? Well, he came in about a month before we started rehearsals, and you think he's some big, humongous man that walks in, but now he's getting on a bit at age 70, and but he's such a gentle giant. He walks in and he sat us down and we talked for about an hour and a half, and he just told some wonderful stories about his history. He was an absolute lovey, and he would tell us stories about Judi Dench and all his other friends that he'd been hanging out with, and you stand there stunned listening to these wonderful stories. But he talks in such a soft tone. And so we went down into the recording room, and we had all the microphones set up in the room and everything, and we had the script, and I was there doing the other lines, and he prepared himself, he sat down, and suddenly he just grew, he blew up like a balloon, and then all of a sudden this voice came out going, "Free, fly." It was incredible to watch, and technically, as an actor, technically to watch him perform, to watch him work was priceless, absolutely priceless. And he's such a gentleman, and he's willing to give his time and his advice to absolutely anyone.
So, a real sort of living legend, really, as actors, performers, anybody, really.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, to work with someone that has worked with the greats. He was talking about stories with Sir Laurence Olivier, Sir John Gielgud, and people like that. And you think, I'm standing next to and working with a man who has worked with some of the greats. It was a pure honour, an absolute honour to meet him.
Obviously, you sound like you're a classically trained actor. Is that your route into performing arts?
I trained in acting, and luckily enough, to when I first graduated, a few of my jobs were with Shakespeare. I've worked for the Oxford Shakespeare Company, performing comedy of errors. I've done Romeo and Juliet, Twelfth Night, so a few Shakespeare numbers, a few Oscar Wilde numbers as well. So to come to Panto is definitely something interesting, but I think it has a lot of similarities with Shakespeare. If you sit down and read, like the director said, Nick, our director, he said if you sit down and read a Shakespeare play like they do in school, you get pretty dulled off by it. It's a bit boring. If you sit and read a Panto play, it's also just as boring. If you see it performed in front of your eyes, like a Shakespeare, it's amazing. It can be livened up. It's beautiful. It's colourful. It's magical, and the words are wonderful in Shakespeare. Having a lot of Shakespeare training lends itself to a lot of Panto work, surprisingly.
And obviously, the voice side of things, because your voice tonight doesn't sound anything like your voice on the stage. Want to give us a little bit of your character voice in the play?
Yeah, well, that's eating in blood. That's what I was talking about. So that's all that stuff in it.
Where'd you pick that from? That's just observations and studying a few different people, and
a lot of friends who live in London. I watch a lot of TV of that sort of nature, and I think I don't want to say it's a Mickey take, because it's not. It's definitely an impersonation of someone of that area. But luckily enough, I met Jasser Aliwala, who played Peter Pan last year here at Camberley Theatre, and he recently was in, I think, Some Girls, BBC Three, and his accent was basically what I was going to do. So I have to hasten to say, sorry, Jasser, I've kind of stolen your voice.
So you're playing the baddie. You're one of the only baddies. Goodies or baddies, which do you prefer to play?
Oh, the baddies, of course. The baddies are much more fun to play. Not to say, if any casting directors listen to this, I'd love to play a hero, but the baddies have so much more play to have.
The crowd really get into you, don't they?
Oh, they do. Especially if you've got 400 school children standing there, and you come on stage and you have the dum 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 music. They get on their feet and they want to boo and hiss you so much you can't get a word in edgeways. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful experience. So you don't have that power with another character, and it's just such a wonderful chance to really play with the audience, give them the dynamic of. I mean, even this evening, I got a bit of an R when the giant has shouted at me and said that you're as stupid as I am evil. I got a little bit of an R in the audience, which I thought was quite a nice sight. So to get the boos and the hisses and the bit of the R's, you get a bit of everything as the villain.
It's good. I mean, there was a little bit of a magic trick towards the end there with the boxes. You can tell us how it was done?
Well, all I can say is the automatic transfer machine. Once you go in, you get transferred to the castle. And obviously Jack, he'd stolen my magical staff, and he transported himself back without me knowing. That's all I can say.
All right, well, one more thing I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you to do the evil laugh before we go.
I'm going to get you.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot.